Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about how to actually train when your knee hurts and it hurts so much you can't walk or run. This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line. So when I'm working with a client and we're going over how to make it so that they can train for a race, because ideal situation, this pain never comes on, but the ideal world is real and not ideal. So it's going to happen. So there should be ways that we can continue to train, because Run Disney, you can't get any refunds and you can't transfer your bib to anybody else. So I don't want you to go through having to risk not using it, losing it. And there are so many healthcare providers out there that say, well, you need to rest until the pain is gone. And rest for 80% of running injuries is actually the worst thing that you could be doing. You don't want complete rest. You don't want to be doing nothing for 2 to 4 weeks or 6 weeks waiting for the pain to go away, because even if it does go away, it will come back. There is a vicious cycle. You have knee pain, you rest, it goes away, you go out for a run, your knee pain comes back full force, you rest, it goes away, you start running again, it comes back, and it stays. It doesn't go away. It's no longer just after when you run. Now it's after when you walk. It's when you're resting. It's going up and down stairs. It's all the time. And that could have been avoided had you not taken that break. And it's very unfortunate. And I don't know if it's lack of information and knowledge that this is the recommendation, or if the recommendation is misconstrued because the doctor or healthcare provider doesn't have the time to fully explain it, because the doctor's visit is 5 minutes long and they have probably 40 other patients, especially if you're going to a specialist. The clinic I used to work at, and it was owned by an orthopedic surgeon's office, and I know for a fact that the orthopedic surgeons were scheduled 4 patients every 15 minutes because 50% of the people either no-showed or canceled. But what happens when they actually show up? You have to take 5 minutes for a 15-minute block of time, and you're still behind. So they are going to try and get you through as quick as possible. Even me as a physical therapist, I saw anywhere between 20 and 40 patients in a work day, depending on, was it an 8-hour day, a 10-hour day? Over the course of 40 hours, I was seeing, 100 to 120 patients in a week. That's a lot of people. And there's just not enough time to incorporate all of the information, to relay that rest doesn't mean complete rest, and that here are the things that you can actually do and try it out, and here are the symptoms you can have, and here are the symptoms that are no good and you should stop doing that, and do this, that, and the other. And I could go down an even bigger tangent with this. I'm going to stop myself right now because I will get angry about it. It's why I left the clinic, and I've been doing my own thing since 2018, because there had to be another way. And so that's what I'm here to help you with, because hopefully you can take this podcast episode and go out for a walk, and you are listening to it as you're walking and have the time to do it because somebody else didn't have the time to share this information with you. But anyway, what I look at when somebody comes to me and says, my knee started hurting a couple of weeks ago, it hurts when I walk, it hurts when I run, I can't trust it, it hurts going up and down stairs now, it's getting worse. And so I stopped running, I stopped walking, but I need to train for my half marathon, my marathon, Goofy, Dopey, Dumbo, Princess. I have to train for it because I can't I can't give the bib to somebody else, and I can't defer for a year. So what do? I have said it before, 80% of running injuries do not need more rest. 20% do. That 20% is usually a fracture, stress fracture. They need rest. They need rest. But you can always ask your doctor, what can I still do on this fracture, on this stress fracture? Because if it's in your shins and you're in a tall enough boot, that's an offloader boot, you can probably do something. So maybe 90% of running injuries don't need complete rest. There is always something to do. And what I look at comes under 6 components: strength, training, recovery, equipment, stretching, and diet. Nutrition, fueling falls under the diet category. So if you can't run, if you can't walk, what can you do? Do you have access to a pool? Can you go walk in the pool? Because if you are chest deep, if the water is up to your chest, it's 70% of your body weight is taken off of you. If you're belly button deep, it's 50% of your body weight is taken off of you. If you're neck deep, 90% of your body weight is taken off of you. So if you can get in the pool and walk or swim, do it. If you can ride a bike, do it. If you can do another type of cardiovascular activity while you can't walk and run for as long as you want to, please do it. Do it in place of what you're doing for running to a point. So you don't want to push through more pain, but if you have a long run that's going to take you 70 minutes to do, go and walk in the pool for 70 minutes. Go and swim for 70 minutes. Go and ride a bike for 70 minutes. Do an activity so then your heart and your lungs get the workout without all of the pressure that walking and running is putting on your knee. Doing something. So this is training your cardiovascular system so your heart and your lungs are going to be ready when race day comes. Okay? Because if we do nothing, then our knee isn't ready for race day and our heart and our lungs aren't ready for race day. Nothing's ready for race day. If we can at least make it so that our heart and our lungs are ready, we can have one day where we go all out and do damage control afterward, right? We go and sit in the hot tub, a hot Epsom salt bath, ice pack, hot pack, massage, the pneumatic compression devices, the leg tubes, things like that. Compression sleeves can help with post-running swelling and things like that. There are things that we can do in that aspect. Now, don't misconstrue this and think, oh, well, I can just keep swimming the whole time. No, eventually we want to get back to the walking and the running. And that's what I work with each of my clients individually on, is how much can you walk and run? Is it 1 mile? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 1 hour? Is it 0? Because you want to do what you can without overdoing it. So if somebody says, well, I could do my run walk intervals for 30 minutes and then it starts hurting. Great. We will modify that and you will do that for 22 minutes so that we make sure that we don't hit that threshold. And now we're going to go do something else for the remainder time. We're going to ride a bike. We're going to swim. We're going to do an upper body bike, the upper body ergometer or arm bike to get our cardiovascular function in. We are going to do strength training with no rest breaks. So then we're huffing and puffing. We're going to find a way that works for you. And this is what I walk my clients through. We first start off with looking at the training aspect. How much can you do without pain? And what else can you do without pain? What do you have access to? What can you do? Do you have a Peloton at home? Do you have a community center near you that you can go and do something else? We look at that. And then we also look at the other 6 components of the stress formula: the strength, the recovery, the equipment, the stretching, the diet. We look at all of those because if strength and training are going up on one side, causing pressure and stress to our body, well, the other side needs to balance it out to relieve that pressure and stress to make our body feel better. The two sides need to be balanced in order to run pain-free. So we are looking at recovery. So what kind of hot Epsom salt bath, ice pack, hot pack are you using? For how long? How often? When? What is your preference? Is your body red hot and swollen and painful? Okay, use ice. If your body is cold, stiff, tight, and painful, use heat. And figuring out which one works for your type of injury. Do you have bursitis? Well, that's going to be heat followed by ice because that creates a wave, and that's what bursitis responds best with. These are the things that we go over. What works for Susie Q down the street isn't going to work for Janice next door. And that's okay. And we need to figure out which one works for you. And you need an outsider's perspective because when you're in it, you can't see the forest through the trees. You're too close. You're too close to it. You need an outsider, hopefully a professional's perspective, to give that proper guidance. And then we're also looking at the equipment. How are your shoes? How old are your shoes? Are they the right shoes for the type of knee pain that you have? Because if you're bow-legged and have medial knee pain, well, we don't want a soft cushion on the outside portion of the back, the outside portion of the heel, because that's going to add more pressure. Do you overpronate or do you actually only pronate the right amount? We may or may not need added stability on the inner portion of the leg. Maybe we are wearing too heavy of shoes and we're fatiguing our muscles. There are so many different components. And then are we getting a regular massage to help calm down muscle knots, break up muscle knots so that they don't cause a problem? And then are we using a massage gun and foam roller to continue to maintain what the massage therapist worked out? What are we fueling with? Are we avoiding carbs completely? Well, that's no good because if you don't have the energy on a run, that's when you're going to start stumbling and you're going to be heavy-footed because you don't have the energy to keep going. It's like watching the sprinters in the Olympics. They are excellent, and then at the end, after they pass the finish, you see them like really heavy-footed, kind of coming down on it because they have exhausted themselves. We see it after marathon as well. The sprinter aspect is just what came to my head, I think, because I was watching sprinters recently for the Olympic trials. But we see it after these long events as well. We're so heavy-footed, we can't pick up our legs if we're exhausted because we don't have the energy our body needs to continue to push through. Are we eating protein? Protein is needed in order to build up any ligament tears, muscle tears, tendon tears, and giving our body the nutrients it needs to actually heal. Are we taking rest days? How many rest days? Because our body heals when we rest and when we sleep. How much sleep are we getting? All of these are worked into this to figure out what will work best for you. And when I work with my clients, it's all very individualized. I have a new coaching program coming out this summer, and it's essentially 8 weeks of individual coaching to a group, if that makes sense, because each person is going to take a little bit of information from each of the 6 components. Well, in the group program, Finish Line Academy, over the summer, there really is not a big strength component because that's a whole separate thing I do, but we do go over strength. It's just not a big incorporated part of it. But we go through each thing and then we find out what kind of fueling you need for your run and what should you be eating the night before and after a run and during a run. What should you be fueling with on race day and leading up to race week? What kind of stretches are you doing? Are you overstretching? Do you have tendinitis and thinking no pain, no gain? Well, overstretching and tendinitis pulls those fibers apart even more. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we're stretching and keeping our muscles and tendons loose, but not overstretching. So staying mid-range as opposed to end range and going through that. What kind of recovery techniques are we going through? And it's all of this encompassing to make it so that you have your program and plan dialed in, and maybe you don't need to look at how much you're running and how much you're cross training. Great. Take that and put it in your back pocket. Hold on to it for later. Let's just focus for you on the recovery and the fueling. That's great, because now you get to try things out over the course of 8 weeks, and we get to modify and work with what works for you. As always, thanks so much for listening. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.